Hey everybody, it's Miss Omida again, going over day 3 assignment after I have graded a whole bunch. So let's get it going. I'm going to make this fast this time. Here we go, people. So we will be going over the correct answer to each question first. Second, we will be going over some common misconceptions about the questions that I saw people making in their answers. And before we sign off for the day, I'm going to be reviewing the turn-in procedures. Yes, again. So, first up, we have question 1, the external conflict. So, what is that external conflict that the people charged with witchcraft are facing? Well, the external conflict comes from the society, right? The society that says, look, if you're accused of witchcraft, you either confess to it or we kill you. And that's the external conflict that people are facing. Not to mention social isolation once they are accused of witchcraft, because once you confess to witchcraft, people all over the town are going to say, oh, well, she's a witch, we can't hang out with her anymore. So, but that leads us to the internal conflict. And what's that internal conflict? That internal conflict is all about, I am not guilty of this. I know in my heart I'm not guilty. But yet, if I don't admit that I'm guilty, I'm going to suffer more externally. So that internal conflict is, do I go with my gut and refuse to confess, or do I confess to something that I definitely didn't do? Moving on to question 2. So this question is all about what allowed Elizabeth and John Proctor to go from this happy couple to this unhappy, argumentative couple. Well, here's the thing. The biggest conflict, obviously, is the affair that Proctor had with Elizabeth. But more than just the affair, the other conflict that they're going through is that Elizabeth cannot forgive her husband for what he's done, and she doesn't trust him. John Proctor and Elizabeth also are now struggling with the fact that somebody has accused Elizabeth of witchcraft. And we all know who it is, they know who it is, and they also know that it's not true. So, external versus internal, once again. The internal conflicts are about the conflicts that each of these two people are facing within their own minds about how they can repair this damaged marriage. So, Elizabeth is really hurt more than anything. I mean, her husband cheated on her and she can't forgive him and she can't trust him because she's just not ready. And yet she really wants to. She wants things to go back to normal. On the other hand, you have John Proctor who feels so guilty for hurting his wife, who he does care about, that he can't cope with the fact that she's not ready to forgive him, and it's making him angry, and it's manifesting externally in this bickering and arguing. Next question, number 3. So Proctor knows that Abigail Williams is a fraud, right? He knows that she's lying and there's nothing he can do about it. Well, why? Because he knows that if he tells the truth, that everybody in town is going to know about what happened between him and Abigail, and that's a problem. So in short, he knows that Abigail's out there spreading fake news, but there's nothing he can do about it. So, profound. This question for profound conflict. The profound conflict when he says this quote, I'll tell you what's walking Salem. Vengeance is walking Salem. I messed that up, but it doesn't matter. You all get the point. The point is the profound conflict boils down to one particular word, and it's this word, vengeance. So, Proctor seems to be the only person who understands that everything that's going down about these witchcraft accusations has nothing to do with a battle between good and evil. It's just people are petty. Finally, we have number 5, the most difficult question that asks you to find a bunch of textual evidence about Mary Warren to determine whether or not she will lie or tell the truth whenever she eventually goes to court at the end of Act 2. Well, a lot of you did not use line number citations in your response. A lot of you just, said, well, I don't know, she'll probably tell the truth or she'll probably lie. Well, here's the thing. I wanted textual evidence, so here we go, a rundown. In Act 1, this is the first quote that we get. from Mary Warren, which lets us know that Mary thinks that she's safe because she didn't actually participate. She was just a witness to all the weird stuff that all the other girls were doing in the woods. So maybe that means that she will tell the truth. I mean, remember in Act 1, she was the one who said, "We gotta tell, we gotta tell, we gotta tell." However, by the time we get to the beginning of Act 2, Elizabeth lets us in on a little secret, and that's that Mary Warren has changed. Mary Warren now is an independent woman instead of a scared little mouse. So that intensifies moments later when Mary Warren finally comes home and Mr. Proctor tries to order her around like he always does, and Mary Warren basically says, "I ain't listening to it anymore. I'm an adult." And that's because Mary Warren has began to feel as though she is important. So this quote that comes just a little bit later talks about how, she really and truly believes in what they are doing as far as rooting out evil in the community, which kind of lets us know that maybe she doesn't know what's the truth and what's not the truth. Next, we have Mary Warren's response to Hale's questioning about the poppet. So, Mary Warren, in this quote, she actually makes it seem like she's not going to lie, that she wants to tell the truth because she actually does like Elizabeth Proctor, and she doesn't want to jeopardize that relationship or hurt somebody who's only ever been nice to her. And so this quote where she basically says, no, there's nothing going on with that poppet. I just made a poppet. It has no meaning whatsoever. It lets us think that maybe Mary Warren has a little bit more guts than we gave her credit for. But then we get to this. When Proctor finally confronts her, and he finally says, "You will tell the truth. You will tell them what's really going on." While Mary Warren says, Abby gonna kill me if I tell the truth. And Abby is who Mary Warren is afraid of. Not to mention, she doesn't think that Proctor should be ordering her around anymore. And she even threatens him when she says, "Abby'll charge lechery on you, Mr. Proctor." Basically saying, if you make me tell the truth, then all of your dirty laundry is going to be aired out in public. So finally, let's talk really quick common misconceptions. You should have already been able to figure out what these are if you've been listening. So first one is this whole internal versus external. Remember that internal conflicts are literally only within the character's mind. They are about tensions between what society wants and expects and tries to manipulate people into, and what somebody believes in their heart of hearts, what somebody really values. So make sure you understand internal conflict is all about what's going on in your heart and your mind, not what's going on in the world outside. Next misconception is a lot of you made it seem like you think that the Proctors just hate each other, and I don't think that's true. They are having a profound conflict, true, but it all comes from the fact that they do love and care about each other. And so when you really love and care about somebody, you don't want them to be in pain. You don't want there to be conflict. You just want things to go back to a place where you can both be happy again. So please understand that they don't hate each other. They're just going through some stuff. And finally, Proctor's hesitation. Here's the thing, it's not just about him. Sure. Salem would find out that he's an adulterer if he was to reveal Abby as a fraud. But the reality is, Proctor knows that airing out this secret about Abby and him would ruin all of their lives and totally change everything. So he can, maybe he's a little selfish, but I don't think it's just a selfish motivation. So finally, before we move on, here's the thing. I need you all to please stop doing this. What is doing this, you may ask? It is answering the questions on paper, taking a picture of that paper, and then attaching it to the assignment. So here are the reasons I don't want you to do this anymore. I can't hardly read that picture when you send it. Not to mention, it loads much slower on my computer because of the file size and the type of file that it is. Not to mention, It's just unnecessary. You don't need to do this. So instead, we're going to talk about what you do need to do. So I have attached two screenshots here of a phone since most of you are doing this kind of stuff on your phone, so I can show you exactly what I want. So when you open up an assignment, so today's assignment, for instance, you should see this where it says your work. You should see a file that is already attached for you and it has your name on it already. Whenever you see that, you need to click on that file. Once you have opened that file, you should see what's on this screen over here on the right. Then you have to click this little icon in the bottom right corner, the little pencil. That's an edit icon. In order to edit this, you have to have a Google Docs app on your phone. Most of you already do. If you don't, hook up to Wi-Fi, download it, do what you gotta do. Finally, once you're done, I don't need you to do anything else. You don't need to share it with me. You don't need to do anything with the document. You need to go back to Google Classroom. You need to click this green turn in button, and then, and only then, are you done. From now on, if you do not hit this turn in button, I'm going to put a 0 in until you hit the turn in button, because it's really, really frustrating to go digging around and looking at everybody's files. So finally, before I sign off for good, any questions? Here's what you can do. Text @Zomita to 81010, and then you can hit me up. This is the fastest way to get a hold of me. I can respond within minutes. Please, 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 please check the comments that I've been leaving on your work. If you've been doing one of the things I don't want you to do anymore, I have indicated it to you personally in one of these comments. And finally, you can always email me. And here it is. You should already have this, but just in case. And with that said, I am signing off. See you later.